Welcome back. Now, since the unfolding of the political crisis in Rivers State, all the 23 local government area councils have been taken over by the police to forestall the breakdown of law and order. Now that the council chairmen have been elected, will the police vacate the council secretariat for elected officials to resume duty? In another breath, considering all the legal entanglements leading to the polls, will this election stand the test of legal fireworks? Well then, let's have this conversation with Associate Professor of Law and the Director, Abuja School of Social and Political Thoughts. I'm trying to put the cart before the horse. Dr. Sam Amadi, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
All right. There seems to be a bit of confusion over which law governs local government elections. Now, the local government elections, are they governed by the Electoral Act, or are states empowered to enact laws with which to conduct local council elections?
I think that's the right place to start. And clearly, sections 8, 7, and 8 gives the power to regulate local governments to state assemblies. So the local governments are constitutionally created, meaning you can't alter the local government creation. It can't kind of deface and say no more local government in my state. We saw what happened when President Tinubu was governor, and the case went to Supreme Court. Supreme Court says, look, you can create, even if you create local government, it has to be confirmed by the National Assembly. So the creation of is a federal issue, and it's the Constitution. But the Constitution says that the management structure, governance of local government is subject to state laws. Section 8 talks about state assembly that provide, in fact, who can vote. It says anybody who can vote for the House of Assembly of a state can vote for local government elections. So each of the states, pursuant to the constitutional provision, have set up their state election commission. The Constitution also excludes INEC from conducting state local government elections except for FCT, which is a federal territory. So apart from FCT, there's no other place in the country where INEC has a jurisdiction to conduct local elections. And therefore, and also there's no other election in Nigeria apart from National House of Assembly, State Governors election, House of Assembly election.
Why this exception for the Federal Capital Territory?
Because the Federal Capital Territory is legislated by the National Assembly. The legislative chamber that creates law for FCT is the National Assembly. So therefore, it's a federal territory. The president is actually the chief executive of the FCT, and his delegate, which is the FCT minister, manages. That's why he appoints him as a minister. He's not elected, so it's a territory, just like Washington. Okay. Now, the key point here is the election in local government area is controlled by SEC, and INEC has no jurisdiction whatsoever. Now, the requirement for INEC to give voters register is that INEC has constitutional responsibility to keep Nigerian voter roll.
Register, yes.
So, I think the court case, what the court suggests to say INEC should not give the
voter register
because ostensibly it needs to be updated is good practice, but that's not law. Whether the election is legal or not has to be within the SEC law of the state that stipulates, because there's no requirement that says before you conduct a valid election in states.
Whether the election is legal or not.
Is to be sourced by the provisions of the state law. Meaning, if the states define how the election will hold, time, days, and you go against those laws of the state, then it can be a basis for declaring it as irregular or illegal. If the election of local government complies with the state electoral law, it's valid. You can't impeach it on the basis of what INEC did or didn't do, except their law requires them to have INEC take some action. So this election will be judged by its conformance to the provisions of the state electoral, and that's the basis of federalism. So the federal power derives from the legislative power of the state of the federal government, and state powers derive from the legislative component of the states by the constitutional division of separation of power.
Now, which brings us to this point. Some of the parties that boycotted the Rivers State local government elections did cite a ruling by the Federal High Court regarding the conduct of the elections, and that's exactly what we need clarification about.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's take it this way. If a court makes an order, that order ought to be obeyed. That's prima.
Yes.
It's a law school 101. But,
Oh, yes.
But what that means is more complex. So, for example, if a federal court makes a law, what is binding is what it orders. So, for example, what the guy was saying, if ordered INEC not to release voters' register and ordered police not to participate, that order is expressly to say, don't give them, don't participate. If they go ahead and conduct their election without breaching the law, set them up, they have not contravened that law. So, in a sense, River State Electoral Commission has not necessarily contravened the order of the Federal High Court if the order did not stop it from conducting the election.
What about what if it did by implication? Now, the issue of the voters register and then ordering the police not to provide a security.
A good point. There is no requirement for police. Part of the incidence of valid election is not police participation. By the way, in the federal election, INEC, is the INEC that determines the role the police will play. Police has no role in election. It's the role that INEC assigns to them, which is to support INEC. So police has no independent role to play. And so police not participating in the election does not in any way impeach its credibility. In fact, some may argue contrary that maybe police not participating helps the peacefulness. Some argue that, because sometimes police is, most times, partisan, not only for ruling party, but for some people. So first, it's very clear whether police is good or not. There's no requirement that police must participate to make election valid.
Yes, but what about the provisions of the Police Act, prevention and detection of crime, maintaining public safety and law and order? And we all know that elections usually
could
always, most of the time, degenerate into breach of a security. So ordering the police not to provide, not to participate,
now,
it's a dangerous thing, isn't it, coming from a judge?
Exactly. I would even condemn the judge for doing that. I think it's actually arguably ridiculous and perverse. But let's even get there. Let's assume it is the right order to make. The police participation in election is not, police has no statutory duty to participate. Police participate at the instance of the electoral body. But police has a general power for law and order. So, for example, if police went to that venue and want to participate or want to control violence,
the police participation is providing security.
That's what the Constitution allows them. There's no constitutional or legal requirement that police must participate in an election. For example, elections are supposed to be civil and civic. In fact, even because of our own tragedy of violence, elections has no business with police. Police will just be around normal policing work, people walking and vote. So the fact that the police was stopped is first ridiculous and perverse. But at the same time, it does not impeach. The police saying we're not going to participate is actually surprising. Because police participation, and police says we're going to be on watch out for law and order, which is their job. So first is that election didn't require police participation to be valid, number one. So in law, validity and prudence is two different things. Validity means what makes this election valid. It seems that this election in River State cross-checked every of those validity
Let's not
tests.
forget that without the people, there would be no elections. You can't have elections without human participation.
Do people require... Okay, look at the election result we saw and the outcome. We don't know that it's violence, but people came out. See the point I'm making. If police is there to create an environment for people to come out. That's the point I'm making.
Yes.
But if the police says we're not going to come out, this is self-voluntary opting out by the Nigerian police. The state government and the SEC didn't say, don't come. Police said, we want to go participate. And the people came out peacefully. Should we now punish the people for police not doing their work and people conduct themselves civilly without creating instance? So this is actually to say, police probably might be superfluous in election. If they didn't come, and elections went ahead. So far, I've not seen fatality report. I don't know. But the point is this, that police has responsibility to protect land order.
Absolutely.
But police voluntarily says, we will protect law, but will not participate. That does not in any way impeach that election. In fact, if everybody could conduct themselves civilly, and police simply man the post and patrol like all over the world, then that's actually more democratic. So I hope that we can move from that point.
So the police obeying the court order did not go against the grain of what the law actually stipulates that they should do.
Police obey the law of the court. Federal police, federal court. They did the right thing.
And didn't it go against the grain of what they were set up to do?
No, well, from a professional point of view, I think it's wrong to ask police not to participate. But since they ordered them and they didn't participate, I'm saying that neither police nor SEC has any illegality. SEC did the election. We're going to assess SEC on whether they comply with their law. And if, again, they are claiming that High Court of Rivers State authorized the election for 5th of October. Yeah. The federal government, the federal court says police don't give INEC tactically to frustrate that election. Whether rightly or wrong, that's a different point. But so the SEC can say, we have this authority by the State High Court that has real original jurisdiction over the matter. And what the Supreme Court. So it seems to me that this election actually passes on the face of it, the legal criteria for validity. Now, the question will sit back and say, why did the court get themselves entangled? First, a federal high court doesn't have, on the face of it, jurisdiction over local elections. Secondly, a federal high court judge should be reluctant to grant those kind of injunctive orders as parte. But nevertheless, however, the court will determine. But so far, as a legal scholar, I can tell you that you don't need the police, nor that do you need the INEC to give you those lists to make the election valid. If they use 2023 election, which other states are using, it depends on what the state law requires.
All right. I think that will be a great place to land this discussion. Thank you very much, Dr. Sam Amadi, for your thoughts. We've been talking with Dr. Sam Amadi, the Director, Abuja School of Social and Political Thoughts, and an Associate Professor of Law.